want to talk briefly about a couple of significant, what we think are significant projects for us in this course, with the goal really of having you see and think about how you might summarize a particular project, a remote sensing project that you're interested in describing to a learned audience. As you may recall, if you look at the syllabus, our final activity, our fifth activity in here, will be for each of you a description of a remote sensing project, something like, Landsat, although I'll probably block Landsat and I'll force you to do something that's not Landsat oriented to expand your horizons a little bit. Things like the MODIS or ASTER or some of the other projects that that we work with, the GOES, GOES, or any of these other projects that we do work with. And so we'll talk more about that as we go along. But just for example, the ASTER, the Advanced Spaceborne Thermal Emission and Reflection Radiometer, is a relatively high resolution but a variable resolution sensor that's carried on the Terra satellite. The Terra satellite carries a number of sensors on it, and the ASTER is one of those. It was launched in 2000 and is still operating. It's operated way past its planned life cycle. But you can see the resolution ranges from 15 up to 90 meter resolution with ASTER, and it is multispectral. Here's an ASTER overview linked out of that page. But the ASTER sensor is, it has number of channels, 4, 10, 15 channels ranging, you can see, from the visible through the mid-infrared and out through the thermal infrared, and you can see that the resolution varies as it actually does with Landsat as well. It varies through these channels, really dependent by and large on the amount of energy that's available. There also is a quantization or a radiometric resolution variability, where in the thermal channels we do get 12 bits of data, whereas up through the visible and mid-infrared we're recording 8 bits of digital data. Here's a comparison between the ASTER and Landsat, and again giving you a sense, working from something that we know something about already and looking at something that we that we're just starting to work with and learn some things about. So again, this is the 15 meter. These are the 15 meter channels. These are the 30 meter channels, and then these are the 90 meter channels on the ASTER. Again, ASTER is a pretty important project, particularly for scientists who are studying the cryosphere, the volume of ice, and so on. And here's an example of an image, an ASTER image. This would be a 15 meter resolution visible and near infrared image from Oahu, North Shore of Oahu in Hawaii. Some of the other instruments that are available on Terra, and this gives you a sense of some of these instruments. These are all instruments that you can access through the gateways that I'm going to show you here at the end of this, and they are very they have each has different purposes, has different resolutions, different spectral ranges that it's sensitive in. So again, this is just one of 3 satellites in a constellation of satellites, 3 different satellites that are targeted at the Earth's land, atmosphere, and water. And again, just giving you a sense of some of the things that that we can see, and the ones that are really important here. I mean, these are all important, but the MODIS in particular is one that we may want to take a look at, as we go along this term. And it's a sensor that I think think a lot of you are going to find useful, particularly when you're looking at large regional areas that you're interested in getting quickly available, near real-time data available for areas that that you do have an interest in. But again, these are all available through some of the gateways that we're going to look at, and particularly the Reverb gateway is the one that is probably the most useful. Again, here are some of the land system or land features that that we can see, and that we do look at with some of these sensors. Again, these are sensors from the Terra satellite. So we've worked out from Aster. Now we're looking at a broader set of instruments on this satellite. And so the project itself is Terra. The particular sensor that we started looking at was Aster, but again, we're now looking at a number of different sensors on the same satellite. And again, here are some additional phenomena that we can sense with some of the sensors on Terra. And this again, it just gives you a sense for how much there really is out there and what we can do with it. Some of the things that we can see here, these are things that we haven't even really looked at in remote sensing. So it really is a very, very broad field. By focusing on land remote sensing, we've taken a particular part of it, a very important part of it, and expanded on that. And now we're starting to see that we can see lots of different kinds of phenomena here on Earth. And again, just a quick comparison between two of the really important instruments on the Terra satellite. The MODIS, you can see a number of different spectral bands from the visible right up through, almost completely through the thermal infrared, for all intents and purposes, and looking in places where we actually can see that energy in the atmosphere. And look at the size of this. That is almost 10 times as wide as a Landsat channel, with a 55-degree field of view, and over 2,300 kilometers in width. That's like 1,000 miles, 1,000 miles across in the swath. So very, very vast area that can be sensed with MODIS. And then again, here you can see just a quick summary of the Aster. So the point of this is not to present a full characterization of all the different projects that are available, but just to look at one particular project, Terra, and specifically focusing on Aster, the Advanced Spaceborne Thermal Emission and Reflection Radiometer. And then I would suggest that you take a look at one of these gateways to think about the kinds of data that you can get and what you might use, and then which of these projects you may want to summarize in your Activity 5. And I'll have more on this Activity 5 as we go along. This is something that you're going to be presenting to the class. You're going to be giving us some hard copy so that we can have a little collection of some of the projects that we all felt were significant here in this area. But in particular, the Reverb, the Reverb gateway is one that we probably want to use, to look at some of these projects, because you're going to find that there's just an awful lot of data sets that are available here. So we did look at this, we looked at this in class, And this is going to be a great resource for you to get a sense for what what projects are out there, and they're almost all in here. I mean, if there's something in here that you can't find that you're interested in, let me know, and we'll find a gateway where you can find that. But I think you can pretty much find just about everything that you will likely be interested in presenting here, in class. So some other projects. We're going to, each one of you is going to be picking out a different project and focusing on it by the end of term.